Corporate Finance, Core Topic 9, Financial Risk Management, Learning Objective number 5. We want to understand how option contracts can be used to hedge cash flow and earnings risk. So let's talk about an option contract. It's very similar to a forward contract. In some way, I just think of an option contract as a forward contract in which one of the counterparties can just opt out of it. All right, opt out of delivery. So what's option contracts give the right but not obligation to buy an asset at a future date at agreed upon price. However, when it's an option contract, we don't call it the forward price anymore. We call it the exercise price or the strike price. So again, we don't use the word forward price, even though it's very similar to that. We call it the options exercise price or strike price. That's the price specified to be paid. Now, there are two types of options. There's only one type of a forward contract, right? And there's just a buyer and a seller in the forward contract. However, options, there's two types of options, and a call option and a put option. A call option is the right but not obligation to buy an asset at the exercise or strike price. The put option is a right but not obligation to sell an asset at the exercise or strike price. Now, unlike forward contracts, if I enter into an option contract, I have to pay, if I buy an option contract, I have to pay an upfront fee or payment. That's called the option cost or option premium. And you sell that give that money to the seller of the contract the day you enter into the contract. Now, for sellers of commodities like gold miners, they would purchase put options to guarantee a minimum price to sell an asset at the exercise or strike price. So Todd is going to buy a put option, going to pay something up front, and then he will have a contract to then sell all his gold at that exercise or strike price. But he doesn't have to. He can always just ignore it and walk away from it. It's not an obligation. It's a right but not obligation. Now, if that strike or exercise price is better than whatever the spot price of gold is at maturity of the option, Todd is going to exercise the option and sell the gold using the option contract, deliver it, and take the strike or exercise price. But what if the spot price is much higher next year? Gold prices go way up. Well, Todd just walks away. He's not going to sell the price sell the gold at the options strike price. All right, so let's say that Todd negotiates an option contract to sell all his gold at 1632. We'll call that the strike or exercise price for a quantity of 337.5 ounces. And the best price he could find, calling all the banks, is $222.09 per ounce. That's the amount he's going to pay today to have this contract that gives him the right but not obligation to sell 337.5 ounces at 1632. That option is going to cost him $74,955 today. Again, that's the $222 times the 37.5 ounces of gold. And now he has this option to deliver his gold at 1632. Now, Hoffman will only exercise this option if gold prices are selling less than 1632. Otherwise, he walks away. Now, option contracts like forwards have could be structured to have cash settlement. In that case, there's no physical delivery. There's just a payment based on the price of gold, and that payment for the put option holder would be the strike minus whatever the price of gold is next year times the quantity. And again, Hoffman's only going to exercise if that strike or exercise price is greater than the spot and he gets a really good price of gold. However, the cash flow could be zero, because what if the price of gold next year is $5,000 an ounce? Well, why would he want to sell it for 1632? So the payoff, in that case, the payoff or the cash flow from the option contract will be zero because Todd just ignores it. He lets it expire. All right, and does not deliver. Now, the Excel equation to handle the idea that the payoff is either going to be positive, where Todd makes money, or Todd walks away, is we're going to use a function in Excel called max. So we're going to say equals max, and we're going to put two arguments separated by a comma. So the maximum of 0, which is modeling if Todd walks away and the contract has no value, or the difference between strike and ST, all times the quantity of 337.5 ounces of gold. And again, remember the strike is going to be 1632. So what this is going to do, this formula, max of 0, 1632 minus ST times the quantity. ST is the spot price of gold next year. Anytime ST is less than 1632, Todd is going, this equation, strike minus ST, is going to be positive. And what that's going to model is Todd's going to exercise the option and deliver the gold at 1632. Or Todd's, if it's a physical cash settlement contract, Todd's going to get paid the difference between 1632 and whatever the spot price is. But if that turns out to be a negative number, that's when Todd walks away and sells his gold outside of the contract. So this is going to model it. Now the payoff or the profit of an option is your payoff, that equation I just gave you, minus the option cost, in this case $74,955. So let's go ahead and put this into our spreadsheet, assuming that Todd now enters into a put option to sell 337 ounces, 337 and a half ounces of gold at $222.09 option cost, and the strike or exercise price of the option is 1632. So we're going to put that formula into Excel, if I can remember those numbers. So back to my option payoff formula, we're going to get rid of that forward. So Todd has to immediately pay $222.09 per ounce times 337.5 ounces of gold. That's the $74,950. That's a sunk cost once he pays it. And then I'm going to add the max of 0, 1632 minus B22, the price of gold at maturity, times the 337.5 ounces. So notice in the base case scenario, gold prices are selling at 1632, so Todd just loses 74,955. I'm going to copy that equation across. Notice there are 3 scenarios, best case and long winter, in which Todd just loses 74,955. That's the cases where gold is actually selling for greater than 1632. So Todd walks away. In these other scenarios, the gold is selling less than 1632, and Todd makes profit from the option contract. The global boom is the little different one there. Todd's still losing, but he's going to exercise the option. So here's what's happening. He has an option to sell at 1632. What if gold is selling for 1440? Looks like Todd has lost $10,000. Well, that's because he lost $75,000 the day he signed the contract and paid for it, but he must have gained about $64,000 from the exercise of the option and got a check for $64,000. So that's still better than not exercising it. So if I then look at my overall payoffs and risk measures, if they're unhedged, again, that was what we did in the first couple sections. Now if I enter into an option, let's just focus on the data tables and look at the data table where we're just looking at gold appreciation. Notice that anytime gold goes down, Todd's cash flow is unchanged because Todd's locked in to 1632. However, anytime gold prices go up, Todd's revenues go up. So this is still volatility in cash flows, but it's the good volatility. There's no downside volatility. Once Todd enters into the contract to sell his gold at 1632, but it's an option contract, he waits around till next year, and then you can think about flipping a coin and gold prices are up or down. If it goes down, who cares? If it goes up, great, I make more money because I'm going to sell my gold at the higher price. So this is a pretty attractive contract. The downside is I have to pay that upfront fee. So this is a safer company with upside, but it has to pay that fee, that $74,000 fee upfront. So in this topic, we talked about how option contracts be used to hedge cash flow and earnings risk, specifically revenue risk. So it's from the perspective of a seller of a commodity.